There was so much speculation when the election happened that there would be a loss of momentum behind these agreements under the Abraham Accords. But it seems as if that's actually just galvanized Prime Minister Netanyahu to get himself to the region and potentially build some kind of anti-Iran axis, or at least a more visible one than we've seen. How do you see this playing out?
Well, I think there's several reasons for the momentum you're seeing right now. And one of them is domestic politics. We just had the elections in America, but it seems that in a week or two, the Israeli parliament is going to be dissolved, and we will go for a fourth election campaign in less than 2 years, which will take place either the end of February, the beginning of March. So a lot of the things that you see Netanyahu doing today is not only for substantial reasons, but for domestic politics. After he said that, let's move on. Another reason is that right now, what you see in the region, you see it from Netanyahu, you see it from the Saudis, you see it from the Emiratis, you see it from the Bahrainis, that they are aligning together and sending a united message, more or less, to the Biden administration that says we do not want to see the same scenario that we saw when Obama assumed office. That basically Obama went for a rapprochement with the Iranians without really discussing it with the US allies in the region. And they are sending this message right now during the transition time to the Biden team.
Sending that message that they won't be ignored. It's so interesting that you say that, because just a few days ago I spoke in an interview with the foreign minister of Saudi Arabia, and he essentially told me the same thing. They want a seat at that negotiating table. They want to be part of the process. He even suggested the possibility of a JCPOA++, one that addressed the nuclear file, but at the same point addressed the malign activities, frankly, of Iran throughout the region. When you think about this with regards to what happens next, we know the transition is finally happening with the Biden administration in Washington. The potential members of the Biden administration keep being announced. Do you think that Israel has the same level of influence going forward under a Biden administration? I mean, we've seen the waning influence of AIPAC, for example, in recent years. How do you see that working out for him?
Well, I think that after 4 years of Trump, Israel cannot get the same kind of influence in Washington. Basically, Trump was totally aligned with Netanyahu and many times served even his domestic political purposes. And this is obviously over in less than 2 months. And Netanyahu will have to go through, a period of rehab and detox from, 4 years of honeymoon with the White House. This does not mean that there's necessarily going to be tension and bad relations with the Biden administration, but I just think that the Biden administration is not going to enable every Netanyahu move like the Trump White House did. And just, you said about AIPAC, in a way, AIPAC's influence is going to be bigger now because Trump basically didn't really care about AIPAC or any other pro-Israel or Jewish organization in America. He wasn't connected to those organizations. The Biden administration is much more traditional in its politics in Washington. So AIPAC's influence in a way will be bigger. But AIPAC learned the lesson from the 2015 Iran deal. When he fought the deal together with Netanyahu, he supported Netanyahu's brazen speech in Congress, and it lost together with Netanyahu. And they lost a lot of their credit in the Democratic Party because of that affair. And they would hesitate to do the same thing again right now.